Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Carly Van Every. I am a psychic intuitive as well as Reiki practitioner. Thank you so much for being here. If this video does resonate for you, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, do all the things on whichever platform you are in the world. And where you are in the world, feel free to comment that down below too as well. That's always nice to know about and to hear about. So this is another episode on the series called 4-Hour Earth. And this is basically all about what kind of a future do we want to live in. So I like to bring on different people and kind of see what's going on in their minds and in their hearts and in their dreams and desires for this planet and for what we can all really kind of live on and embark on in this journey. So today I have a very special guest. Luke, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Carly. Hey, thank you, everyone. My name is Luke W. Shu. I met Carly through Instagram, and I was super inspired by her vision and mission on this platform. And yeah, there's a lot of things about me that I want to share, but I want to go through. I'm just happy to, have a conversation with you and have the audience get to know me through our conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, Luke, you are an empowerment coach, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to share anything about that with everybody?
Yeah. So it's very funny because a lot of people address me with different things, and some people call me an empowerment coach. Gave workshop in the past. I have been a keynote speaker, inspirational speaker, empowerment speaker. So there's a lot of things that people know me differently, and I think it all comes down to this vision I have to make the unrecognized, unspoken, recognized and spoken, meaning that I have really have the vision to help people open themselves up and show their behind the scenes life in a very open, honest, and vulnerable way. Because I think everyone goes into this world and with their front stage life, they compare their entire life, whether it's front stage or backstage, with everyone else's life. And we talk so less about the backstage life and compare ourselves so much with the front stage life. And so I really came down to the vision because I deeply care about connection and relationship, to empower and inspire people to open up themselves. And so I always had the passion to get to know people deeply and build meaningful relationship. And through all that, this whole idea came, and people addressed me differently, but it all came down to the roots of really making sure that people live in harmony and people connect with each other more meaningfully.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. Luke, I have a question for you.
Please.
What kind of a future do you personally want to live in? Just whatever you feel called to sharing. The floor is completely open.
Yeah, I think this is a very, very beautiful question. I truly love that, because I think this is the type of question a lot of people should ask themselves, even myself more often, because I do admit, like many, like everyone else, I tend to live on autopilot many times. I fall back into unconsciousness, right? I get sucked in by my thoughts, by my emotions, and the daily hustle. And I love that you are asking this question, because it basically brings you into an awareness, into intentional living, and really asking yourself, hey, who do you want to be when you leave this world? What do you want to leave behind? And how do you want to make an impact? And how do you want to leave a footprint, right? And just based on the vision that I have for people, and the world that I would love to see in is really about relationships. I think a lot of things have changed in the way that so I used to work in Silicon Valley. I'm very exposed to all the tech and software engineering stuff. And while our life becomes more easier and more automated and easy accessible, and through social media, we're able now to connect, even that we both are able to connect. You are, in near Canada, I'm here in Germany right now. It's simply beautiful. But what I realized through our work and through the advanced innovation and technology is that the human aspect of things, the relationship, is kind of diminishing over time, right? So an example for me personally is, 20 years ago when we only had the phones, right? I had to remember all the phone numbers of my loved ones. Like I knew them by heart in case I get lost, right? I would write them letters. I would call them. I would just jump over the fence and see how they're doing. I would meet up with them, and it was really like a meaningful connection, right? I really connected with people. Where today I feel through social media, you get such an update about people. You get such a visibility in people's lives. So sometimes even for myself, I don't see the need anymore to connect because I know already what this person is going through or what he's doing right now. And so what I witness is that in terms of relationship, that we are more and more moving away from each other. And even in my work environment, I always felt that business always came first. Career was always the focus of everyone's goal. Everyone, so career focused and wanting to make a living and, gaining a status, promotion, and all this stuff. And it all comes to a sacrifice of relationships. I think we all crave relationships. There's been a TED talk, Kali, which I truly love, and that kind of shaped my point of view on life. Is there's this person who did a research on different types of people, different ages. And when they did that research, they asked those people, what makes a good life? What makes a good life? And, what happened in those different lives for those people who, aged over 100 years old.
Mhm.
And it all came down to one thing. The quality of your relationships determines the quality of your life. And it is definitely true for me. It's true for many people. And, I found myself through my hustling and my journey, Silicon Valley, and chasing the corporate ladder, finding myself very, very lonely, very depressed, very burned out. And these are symptoms. Like, we are all human species. We all, seek for a meaningful relationship, deepness, vulnerability, right? Comfort, security. Like, these are things that we all crave. But somehow it gets shadowed by our ego-driven um, idea of wanting to become someone, to validate that we are worthy, that we are loved, that we're better than others. And so while we all crave the same things, we're actually moving away from those qualities. And that's why I see more people being burned out, more people being depressed, more people having anxiety and overthink. And even myself in that period, I suffered from it in many ways over and over again. And so that's why I consider those parts the behind the scenes life, what everyone is feeling, what everyone is going through, what everyone desires. But somehow in our front stage life, we are focused on different things, right? And so I want to connect people and really have people open themselves up, being curious and courageous and empathetic enough to open up their curtains at a certain level where they feel comfortable. So we all kind of have the feeling and acknowledge that at our core, we're all human beings and we're all equal in a certain way, right? And that's the idea of harmony as well. It's something that I know you value a lot. And that's basically the same thing, but just from a different perspective or a different angle.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I love it. There's so much there that you said that I was just like listening, like my heart was really listening to all of that, right? And just feeling that in my heart space. I feel like whenever that happens for me, that's just like a whole different level of resonance. That's like that true resonance, right? Where you're like the heart to heart, like listening, right? And that holding space and just seeing people in front of you for who they are, just as they are, right? And all that they are. So thank you for sharing that. It's so interesting because you were talking about, connection in like 20 years ago when technology wasn't like, as developed as it is now, just climbing over the fence and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember those days too. That was really nice, like being a kid and like going out, like talking to mom, saying like, hey, I'm going to go out and play with my friends. Is that okay? Yeah. And then going to like climb trees and stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And then like coming back for dinner, eating dinner like really quick because you're just too excited. You want to get back out there and keep going until like the
Exactly.
sun goes down. Yeah. And it's like, it's so interesting to see that development too. Have you noticed any positive aspects just with like in terms of technology for, I guess, that human connection, or how do you personally kind of try to bring that genuine connection through technology?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm going to answer that in a second because you brought up one thing that I do want to point out. You said something beautifully, and I think I do want to emphasize. I want to emphasize it because it's important. You said seeing people for who they are, and it's deep. And if you really think about the sentence, seeing people for who they are, and the reason why I'm saying that is, and it's exactly the it nailed the question of the vision that I have, right? For seeing people for who they are. Because so I've been also a coach, and I've coached many students, and it's to really have them connect to who they really are at their core. And what I realized through those conversations and those students is that, they've been sucked up into this world where they start being identified with what they are, right? We go through college, you choose a major, and you are a lawyer, a doctor, or you're a failure or an entrepreneur, right? And you start to identify, you take that little identity and make it yourself. So I'm not Luke anymore, you're not Carly anymore. I'm the Silicon Valley guy, and you are like whatever you are, right? And so we start comparing what we are with other people's what, right? How well did he do in college? How did he get a promotion earlier or later than me? How much is his salary? Do people call him a badass or a dumbass, right? And so we start comparing each other because we are so sucked in what we became. And actually, there's a very interesting story with one of my friend and an executive that I've been talking to for many times now. And he basically he used to be a CEO of a company, and now he's a CFO of a company. And he's over 50 years old. And he told me the following. He said, Luke, I just realized at my age, at 50, that my entire life I have been living to protect this identity of the CEO. Because my wife is being together with me. She loves me because she loves the CEO part of me, but not who I am at my core. Because he identified himself so strongly with his role as being a CEO that he completely forgot who he was, because his mask was so visible to anyone that he was living his mask and was shadowed by who he really is at his core, right? And that's where a lot of people find the midlife crisis or feel incredibly lost when they've been chasing an ideal, when they've been building up what they want to become, and then realize it doesn't give them fulfillment. They realize they feel disconnected, they don't feel the meaning, and that's where they go back, start the self-development journey. Some go into spirituality because now they want to connect to who they truly are, right? And I love, and now I'm going to go back to your question around how do we use technology today to build human connection. I think number one, what I love about technology is that we now have the resources to find our tribes, because I feel like a lot of people, sometimes feel very misaligned. Maybe some people are bullied or never felt understood, or they have a passion that sounds weird to the ordinary people in their community. And now through social media and through the online approach, you can handpick those people who are similar like you. You can find your tribe on a completely different level, right? Like me and you, like exactly what you said. When you started this conversation with me, when we chatted, I felt so connected to you, right? I was like, wow, this lady's amazing. If she would live across the street, literally, I would have cooked dinner and could come over and just come over for a glass of wine.
What's up?
Yeah, exactly. We just hop over and all this stuff, right? But now through social media and through the technology, I'm able to get to know someone like you, right? So that's number one. Number two, what I truly love is related to what I said previously, is through technology, we are now able to really excel our learning process, right? The amount of people who are going into self-development right now and hiring a life coach and trying to seek help to improve themselves is ridiculous. Like it's a huge market, right, from a business term. But here's the funny thing. Everything I'm teaching, everything I'm saying right now is not like, hey, it's not like I am Darwin or I'm Elon Musk, like I'm the inventor of all encompass, right? These wisdoms have been there for like in the ancient time, like those things have been out for many years, right? It's just more accessible, and we have now different voices and different people who we connect to. Some people might connect to my voice, to my story, to the way how I express things, right? Because we are all different learners, and so now we can pick the ideal person that we feel inspired by, who we resonate with, and who can help us transform in our own journey, right? And so I think that's a positive and beautiful aspect of technology. So that's the second one. And the third one is just that now we have ability through technology to connect with each other, but also scale it in a certain way. Like for me, I give you an example, Carly. I mean, on Instagram, I only have 2,000 followers or whatever, but I connect with people so deeply on messages, and I would love to kind of, separate myself in 10 different loops so everyone kind of can engage with me and I can have a conversation with everyone. But the media actually allows me now to kind of replicate myself, right? I can go on podcasts, I can go on social media, I can use different mediums where people feel most connected with, and just speak different languages while sticking to being my true self. And I think that's the beauty of technology. And I hope that everyone who's getting addicted or seeing the bad in social media, as I expressed it in a very beginning, saying we get disconnected, right? There's always a beauty and always something bad about certain things. And I hope that people get inspired to, whatever we're going to use, and then I'm going to finish that, whatever we're going to use in our life, everything is just a tool. It's how we use it that determines whether it's a good use or bad use. One example, and then I'll have you ask you another question. If you give a knife to a person, if you give a knife to a thief, he used a knife to kill someone. If you give a knife to a surgeon, he takes a knife and saves life, right? So the knife itself is just a tool. It's up to the person who makes use of it that turns the tool into something good or bad, right? The same thing applies to social media and technology.
I love that. It's all about the intention, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, intention is everything. I want to take this back to something you said, because again, it's just like things that I'm just really resonating with. And you mentioned, I guess we kind of co-created this whole conversation, and this one aspect within this conversation about identity, worthiness, and just being yourself, who you are. I had this quote come through from my higher self, right? Channeling from my higher self of as I am.
Mm-hmm.
And those three words, like, as I say this, if you kind of open up your heart space and just kind of allow these three words, like the energy of these three words, to kind of run through the top of your head and into your body and your being and in your presence, as I am, like, just let that land. I think that's so beautiful, because it's like, I mean, I believe like the first step is always you. It's always, and this is what I think part of this belief kind of kicked in for me when I started getting certified for my Reiki level 1, Reiki level 2, and my master's certification too, where I feel like it is kind of ancient wisdom, even though the founder of Reiki, Mikao Usui, he brought it in like, I kind of want to say like later on, like kind of closer to us, if you look at the whole history of like human beings on this planet. But I do feel like it is more ancient. It's just kind of more modernized ancient wisdom, if you will. But yeah, this, like, learning Reiki and being certified for that, and it's, I say learning and certification, but honestly, like, it's like so much deeper than that. It's like, I don't know, it's just like this experience where it's a gift, it's knowledge, it's wisdom, it really is like a gift being passed down from like one who's been working in this and been like a master in this, to having it be passed down to like the next people who are willing and wanting to work in this way too, right? And I remember my teacher telling me, it's always like on the very first day, level 1, my teacher had said to all of us, she was saying, it's always about you first, your alignment first, you take care of you first. So that's why in the level 1 certification, Reiki is for yourself. You learn for yourself and for you. You work with the energy within you. And then when you're balanced, then you go out and help others. And
I love that.
yeah, it's so beautiful. Hey.
Yeah, 100%. I'm feeling that so hard, and I'm just curious what brought. It's interesting to me, and it's also equally fascinating how different people connect with different techniques, right? There's so many different techniques. Also in the spirituality, once you really tap into it, it's like a whole ocean and a whole like forest of things that you can pick from. It's crazy, and I'm just super curious. It seems that the Reiki technique really resonated with you and really helped you to align with yourself and you with your energy. And I'm super curious to know more about that. Like, how did you find out about Reiki, and what is it exactly that helped you get aligned with yourself, and even develop the curiosity in yourself to say, I want to dive deeper into this, and become get certified in that.
Mm-hmm. It was it was a calling. So I don't know if I had mentioned this to you or if you know this of me or anything, or anyone watching, but I've been working with spirit for like pretty much my whole life, but consciously when I was a preteen going into like my teenager years, like I want to say maybe 12, 13, 14, I started sensing presences around me. Okay. And people would, some people like to label these presences as spirit. Other people would say consciousness. Some people would say just energy or non-physical energy. I always associate it with like different presences, different spirits, right, around me. And I felt that very strongly in my body, just sensing it around me. And part of it, and a big part of it, I do want to really take the time to acknowledge, the culture that I was born into and the family that I was born into. I'm Ongwahoe, or a lot of people say First Nations Indigenous. Like that's me, that's the culture I was born into. So a lot of our culture and traditional practices are rooted in spirituality, and are rooted in spirituality is natural. Like we have medicines, land-based medicines that are really, really helpful in connecting us to, we call them Sigwaya Diesel, but the creator, or some people associate this being, this energy, this stream of consciousness as God, as the universe, as some people associate it as your inner being, right? It's all the same, but it was really beautiful because I remember not even peeling back the layers. It's not like I was like consciously trying it. It just kind of naturally unfolded for me, where it was like, I started seeing spirit. I started like working with spirit in so many different ways, right? And I remember back in those days, the first time I ever saw spirit was one of my passed on loved ones, who would have been the dad to my grandma, so my great grandpa. And I only have like vague memories of him from when I was 7 years old, but I remember when I first saw him, I saw him like in white light energy, and he almost looked like this like mist, but it was him and it was his full outline. And I just knew in that moment it was him. My whole body started like shaking, like just from the energy,
Wow.
because it was
Wow.
so powerful for me. And I started crying because I was like, what's going on? And I called my dad, right? I said, hey, like this, like, and this is why I say thank you. And I attribute a lot of this to like culture and family that I was born into, because I had my dad, I had my mom, I had my grandma, I had my grandpa, I had my other grandma, I had my cousin, I had all these people who were so open and real about it, in the sense of like, okay, we see you and this is natural. This is just what's happening. And I remember calling my dad and he's like, yeah, he's like, that can happen. He's like, so this is a type of medicine that we can use in our culture, and this is how you use it and stuff, and this is what will help, right? And yeah, see, so that's why I'm like, that's amazing. And then I would go and talk to my grandma and she'd be like, oh yeah, she'd be like, I remember a seer down on the reservations, we call it the res. And then it's just cool to connect in that way, because it's like, I feel like you don't hear a lot of stories like that on the mainstream cultures.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so, so grateful for the people in my life, right? And even like, I think I was saying this to you earlier before we started recording, but I feel very, very fortunate and like very like it's a luxury for me to have these people in my life. Like the friends that I have now, it's like wow, like these are my friends. Like I'm so appreciative of every single one of them and that we're able to just be open and loving and just dive into
Mm,
conversation. And like you're talking about like that heartfelt, real, genuine connection. And for
mm,
me, it's like I'm so rich. Like I'm so
mm.
rich because of that, because of all of them, right? And because of the moments that we
That
had
is so
together.
beautiful.
Yeah. And so that's like a little just to kind of catch you up to speed, catch everyone else up to speed who's watching this who didn't know that, but that's how I got into spirituality. And then moving from my late teens into my early 20s, that's when I really started, started kind of picking up on different things. And that's when I started developing my own relationship with my guides, right? Different guides that I have around me. And that's when I started connecting to different beings in this universe that
Mm,
this is like a little bit deeper, but they aren't human beings. So there's these
mm,
beings that I call the ancient ones, where sometimes they'll come and it's like a deep level of respect, but they have so much wisdom and light to share with us, right? And it's all coming from like this really pure, profound heart space. And they always feel like, to me, they always feel like kind of really connected to this planet. Whereas there's like other beings that come in too. Anyways, in terms of the question you asked me about Reiki, how that came through, I have a lot of messages that come to for me through dream time and through meditation, and they are very clear, they are very pure, they are very loud, and they are very boom there. There was one dream that I remember. It was like in my early 20s. I think it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was wearing an amethyst ring on my finger. Amethyst is a healing crystal. And my mom actually purchased this for me. She's like, I don't know why, but I felt called to. I wanted to buy this specifically for you and give it to you as a gift. So I said, thank you. I put it on. And amethyst, I was reading the card and its attributes, and it said connection to spirit, connection to God consciousness, connection to your angels, just open connection, right? It's your crown chakra. It's working with that energy center that allows you to kind of channel and connect through more consciousness, more levels of consciousness, more awareness of consciousness, different types of consciousness, right? And your higher self. So I remember putting that ring on 3 o'clock in the afternoon and wanting to take a nap. And I literally said, before I lied down, I was like, to my guides, to my angels, to my ancestors, to any beings of unconditional love and light only, if there's any messages that you want to deliver to me through this dream, please do so in this dream now. Luke, I kid you not, I took a 2-hour nap and it was segment after segment after segment after segment after segment. Like it was so many messages. It was actually such a really powerful dream for me that I remember waking up in the back of my head, almost like where your neck connects to the very, very back, like cusp of your head. I literally felt like energy from the dream, or the messages that were coming in from the dream, came in through this, like I swear there's a chakra or something there, because it felt like it came in from the back. And I almost felt like, whoa, I need to recharge my battery a little bit. Like I actually woke up from my dream feeling like a little bit like, whoa, I need to like keep it low key and rest and just rebalance myself, right? But in that dream, one of the segments, it was pitch black, and there was this purple like spiral of energy. It almost looked like a ribbon, and it was going from, I think it was going from the top down, and it started off wide and it went down to like a narrow tail. And then that was the end of that segment. Then I went to the next segment where it was pitch black. And then from my left ear to my right ear, the word heal, like a being came in and just said heal to me. And so in my dream state, I asked, I was like, how? And then the word Reiki came in. And then
Mhm.
that was all on a black screen. Then that segment ended, and then it jumped into another segment.
And
And
you
so
didn't know about Reiki before, right?
I didn't know. I had no idea.
Wow,
So
that
yeah.
is crazy.
So I woke up from that dream, and I remember I literally woke up, and that's the first thing I did. My hand went to the back of my head and I was like, whoa. And then I grabbed a journal and I must have sat there for maybe about like an hour or an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes, just writing down all of the messages word for word, like just everything, right? Because I woke up and I remembered all of it. I'm pretty sure it was all of it. I hope it was. But I remember like writing it out. And then I remember writing out the section about Reiki and I was like, heal, how, Reiki. That's interesting. So I kind of bookmarked that, called my cousin, told my mom about the dreams, had like a huge celebration about everything, right? All of the messages. And I remember researching about Reiki. I think it was that day or the day after. It was really, really soon after. And just looking up online and seeing that Reiki is energy healing, Reiki is energy balancing. We all have these energy systems within our bodies that are chakras. And when these are in balance, really, really good things can happen, really profound things can happen. There's like a lot of positive, beneficial aspects to Reiki, right? And it's this energy that comes out through the center of your hands because there's chakras in the center of your hands from the practitioner into the person that's receiving, right? And I literally remember reading that and thinking energy healing and energy balancing. And it was just, I don't know, it just felt like really pure and just really like, yeah, okay. So fast forward to maybe like a few weeks after that, I go to this wellness summit
Mm-hmm.
and I literally saw this banner. It was like a green banner. And I remember walking towards it and I was talking to the people who were there. They were saying, oh, like we were just talking, I don't know, just chatting about something. And then I remember asking them, hey, do you guys know anything about Reiki, or do you offer Reiki here, like at your business and stuff, your place of business? And they're like, well, we don't know anything about Reiki, but our actual Reiki teacher just happens to be walking down the aisle towards us right now. That's her. I literally turned around and I could see energy like vibrating, like just outwards, right? Like just like white light energy. And I could feel it in my body again, like that same kind of energy moving through me. And in that moment, I just, like, honest to God, I can't explain it, but I just knew. I was like, that's my teacher. Like it was just like this really quick knowing. And literally like very shortly after that, I got certified for level 1. And then a few months after, level 2. And then literally like a few years after, I knew she was going to teach me for my master's. Like I just knew it. And I knew it was going to be the right timing. And sure enough, like when I got that download in my body, like it's time, like I'm ready. I know I am
Mm-hmm.
and why I want to do it. And literally she just announced she's never taught masters ever, but it was her first time ever teaching a master certification course. So it just like, I don't know, it's just the
And that,
unfolding.
that's such a beautiful story, and such a unique way to experiencing. Thank you for sharing. I'm super curious because what I love about how you started this whole thing is how genuine gratitude you express
Mhm.
towards your friendships and your friends, right? It really, I really felt that gratitude. It's not that something that you just say out of your mouth. It's something that really came out of your soul. And I'm super happy for your friends to call you a close friend. But I'm super curious because it it's amazing how you sense energy, right? I think a lot of people who resonate with that would probably think, wow, I know exactly what she's talking about. But for some people, that energy part probably doesn't resonate. And
Mhm.
so I'm super curious because, like, for me, I am dreaming, but I can't remember my dreams. Like, I
Yeah.
even forget sometimes that I ask myself, did I dream at all sometimes? And so for me, I'm curious because you express so much gratitude for your friends. How does that energy sensing help you for like friendships or romantic relationships? Is that the same way that you just see a person and just like feel the energy, whether it's a romantic relationship or a good friendship? Like how is that energy help you build genuine relationship, and
Mhm.
has that helped you find the right tribe that you express gratitude towards now?
Wow. Thank you for the question. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's everything. Like energy is everything. And it's very my life experience and my reality that I've created has demonstrated to me over and over again that it's everything. And the most important relationship that I have in my life is the one with me, me and the creator, me and my higher self, you know? And I feel like whenever I move from that, everything just falls in line. And it's so, I don't know, it just feels like you're living in a dream when you're moving from that state, right? But it's so beautiful because it's like I find that when and I call that like alignment, right? When I'm like I'm connected to the creator, I'm connected to my higher self, and I'm really connected to my heart. And it's almost like this feeling of um you know, when we have these like moments in our life where we can just feel like the walls around our heart just kind of drop, and we're left with that realness and that rawness, and again coming back to as I am, and just seeing myself first as I am, and being able to like just be real and raw, right? Regardless of anything else. So when I'm moving from that space for me is so pure that I feel like it has very beautifully, very graciously, and I'm very, very appreciative of it, to have magnetized in relationships or qualities or aspects in relationships into my life, right? And it's like when I'm in that space, everything good, great, excellent happens. When I'm in that space, I'm able to connect with people on a really deep level, right? When I'm in that space, it's like even like strangers, like I can't explain it, but it's like I will walk down the street, make eye contact with somebody, and we'll have a random, like genuine connection and talk about life. But you can just tell when people are being real with you in conversation, like on a
100%.
deep
Yeah.
level, right?
Yeah.
Emotional depth. And it's like it's everything. It's everything. Because then you can feel just like in your own body. You don't have to be a Reiki master, a Reiki practitioner. You can just be you, and you can still do this, right? Like anyone, all of us can do this, right? Where we're in a space with somebody and we see this other person and we just feel like this connection, like, wow, you're really genuine. Like, wow, I really like you. Like, wow, like I really like jamming with you on this conversation in this moment. This is fun, right? And
Mhm.
just like that feeling. And I think it kind of ties back into like what you were speaking to as like a child, right? And like growing up, where it's like you would hang out with your friends and it's like that fun feeling, right? And it's like that, just that connection of, again, like hopping over the fence or calling someone, or that feeling. And I feel like you know what I'm talking about, that feeling that's in your
100%.
heart when you're in that moment. That's that feeling, right? That's exactly that feeling. And I feel like that feeling is everything
Mm.
in like any relationship, like friendship, romantic, relationship with nature, relationship with yourself, a relationship with your ancestors, your guides, your passed on loved ones, right? Relationship with life. Like it's everything. So
Mm.
I don't know.
I was,
I like it.
and it totally makes sense. I love how you the energy is definitely coming through, even through Zoom right now. And I love how you sharing how you've been sharing this. I think for you listeners and even for myself, I'm curious. I think a lot of people work with affirmation, right? And it seems like the three words "as I am" really keeps you grounded. It really helps you get settled, right? And so I'm super curious, when you say those three words to you, "as I am,"
Mm,
what are you visualizing? What have you programmed yourself into, I would say, almost, that those three words give you a sense of groundedness and keeps you back to your center? Like, what is it about those three words? And how did you choose that? Because when I coach certain people, everyone recognized with different words, different affirmation, different
mm.
identities, even sometimes. And so for you, it seems "as I am" is something that keeps you centered. And I would love to know what images comes up, what feelings did you attach to those three words, and why specifically those three words, and what do they mean to you?
As I am is me. it's me purely. It's it's my soul. It's what you see underneath the makeup, underneath, you know, the physical me. It's just my essence, right? It's my soul, it's love, it's as I am. That's like the essence of it that I see, right?
Mm.
So I find for affirmations like that, like the really powerful, profound, and pure affirmations, they're channeled through me from my higher self mostly, right? Like I'll be in meditation. Happens a lot in meditation where these words just start coming in, and then sometimes I'll start affirming as I'm meditating. Like I'll just kind of get into this flow, like as I am, as I am, as I am. Or if there's something that has been on my mind that I'm trying to, I call it energy loops. Like whenever we're trying to consciously manifest something, right? And whatever we focus on grows, okay? Even if we're focusing on something that we might feel like is in more of a positive light, it might grow, okay? So um I'm like thinking about like if I want to bring this one thing up, but I'm trying to find the right energy space for it. Okay, love. Okay, so moving with the energy of love. Um in recent, like in maybe like the last couple of weeks, I don't know if you heard, but there was some information that came up about children in residential schools.
Mhm.
215 children. And when I first heard that, you know, being Ongohoe, honestly, when I first heard that, I was like, again, right? Like, again, just again, because there's a lot that has been swept underneath the rugs, right? So to say. Um, and I acknowledged it and I felt for it. I acknowledged it, but I didn't dwell on it. Because what happened in that moment for me personally as an individual was my higher self came through. My connection to the creator was more in that moment, feeling into, okay, I acknowledge that this has happened, and I don't want to live in a world like that. But like we were saying throughout this conversation, everything that's negative has a positive, everything has its contrast. And so if you in that moment can see what's there that you don't want, and be centered and balanced enough to focus your attention on what's in this that I do prefer, which is where my heart took me. I was like, okay, well, I want to live in a world where children are celebrated, coming from the standpoint of equality, in the sense of we all come from the stars. Okay, this is more of a spiritual perspective. We all come from the stars and we all incarnate into physical human bodies for the time that we're here. We all share this collective home, this beautiful home, which is this planet. She's given us bodies made out of soil to allow our souls to come in and live here for a time being. So, an equality in that larger sense, right, of we all come from the stars. The energetic essence, you could even say, or the spiritual essence of it, I don't know, that's like really, really big for me. And I was thinking, actually, there was one time, probably in like the last week and a half, when I was like pondering this and I was kind of feeling into this, right? Because what we focus on grows. So for me, if I'm focusing on like the sadness of that too much, right? Now, I'm not saying I don't acknowledge it or I don't pay my respects to that or I don't, do what I feel called to. Like if I want to host a ceremony or acknowledge it in that way, I'm not saying I'm not doing that. I'm just saying I don't want to dwell on it, because if I dwell on it, that sadness, and I've seen it energetically, just like through Reiki sessions and stuff, and in my own life too, where it's forced me to focus myself in a direction to create something new for me, right? But if I see that sadness and I focus on that and put my energy and attention on that, that sadness is only going to grow. And anything that's like that will kind of magnetize like things to it to create a bigger energy loop of that. Okay. So what I was guided to and chose to do, I believe on like a soul level, is to see that, acknowledge that, hold space for that, and then to choose to focus myself. And I like literally remember, Luke, I was in my living room one day and I was working out, but I was doing a dance workout. And I was like, okay, in this moment, I want to dance for these children, the souls of these children, right? And like any other children that may have experienced something like this, but I want to dance for them, like just to honor them in this moment. And so I did. And it was in that moment of like, I'm in a good mind space, I'm in a good heart space, like good thoughts and stuff. I'm in a pure place and I'm dancing for them. And while I'm dancing, my intention is focused on creating a future energetically first, because everything always happens energetically before it happens physically. I'm putting my intention on, I want children that are now being born and children that are now growing up, and all of us to live in harmony, to live in the safety, the knowingness that we are secure, we are safe, we are supported, even if it's mostly we have each other's backs, right? And that we can grow up in whatever culture, whatever belief system, you know, as long as we're not harming ourselves or harming anyone else, that we're really living in love and in happiness and in just harmony and well-being, right? So I was dancing for these kids, honoring them, but I was focusing on children growing up now and being happy.
That is beautiful. I felt that so much. Thank you for sharing. Um, I I am truly inspired by your words, and you shared so many beautiful things, and it's there's so much feelings that come up, and so many thoughts that I come up, and I truly love the vision that you are and the mission that you are on. And what I love most is, and I mean this what I'm saying right now, I think a lot of people have right intentions, but it gets filtered through their ego, right? I always I even coming from a business side, I always feel that there is a right intention coming from your heart. Before it gets out of your mouth, it gets filtered by your ego. So your intention starts to not be as pure anymore because it got filtered by something that you were unaware of. And I love, and I mean it, that when I'm listening to you, the energy that I'm feeling is that there's no filter, that it's purity, and that it's love from its purest form, that it's really coming out of your soul, out of your mouth, and you're really meaning it. And there's no ego-driven filter, and that's what I love and truly appreciate. And I think that is exactly, I think, for me, just to close the loop around visions and all this stuff. That's exactly what creates meaningful relationship, not just with other people or feeling the energy, also the relationship with yourself. And I think this is absolutely beautiful, and that's exactly the level of deepness, the level of conversation, the level of love and the well-being that I would love for the world to get into. And so I'm truly inspired and empowered by this similar vision that we have, how we want to leave this planet behind. And just to really wrap things up, and I think technology and connecting with people like you, it just really helps remind ourselves in times of struggle, because it's not easy to keep up with that vision in sometimes in a very unloving and distracting world. And so thank you for your energy. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and likewise, it's just really good to connect with people who it's genuine, it's real, it's raw.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you.
My joy, and thank you. So I want to ask you one more question too. I know we're like the time, yeah, we should probably start wrapping it up, but so what I like about what you kind of brought to the table today is that you're very focused on, and I 100% agree with this, just relationships and the quality of connection, right? Like that real connection, and to be able to tie in and understand and acknowledge what's backstage and what's kind of on the forefront, right? And to be able to kind of see that. So with what we kind of talked about today, and specifically with the future that you're kind of envisioning in terms of this, what are some steps for anyone that's watching this right now? Or yeah, some steps that you would like to offer for them so that they can kind of start implementing anything in this conversation within their life right now?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. I thank you for this question. I think this is a beautiful question. And I think the first step that I normally do with a lot of the people that I work with is people even don't know what is their forefront or what is their backstage, right? For them, it's one life. And so, and that's why a person who is able to identify what they have become, and at the same time realizing that it's not who they are, so they have this identity of who I am and what I am, right? And if you're able to see that, you already have a level of awareness that is already going into the right direction. But a lot of people don't even have that awareness. Even the level of conversation we have right now, they think they understand, it does make sense, but they don't feel it, right? And so for everyone who wants to get started and really, think of, okay, Luke, how can I want to be vulnerable. I want to have deep connections, but I don't know how. What is the difference of what do you mean with front stage and backstage life? And I think to start off, it's the easiest way to start off is really looking at our life, looking at our thoughts, looking at the things that we want to achieve and accomplish, the things that are important to us, right? And really ask ourselves, is this my role self speaking right now? So the what, right? Is this the role that I've been put into? Whether it's the expectations of my mom, and the way how the school system programmed me to be the best in school, or my manager having expectations on me. So is this something that is speaking for my role self, or is this something that is coming from my true self? And the true self is always who I am, right? So an example is a classy thing for your role self is, how can I make passive income? How can I make more money? How can I get this lady to become my girlfriend, right? How can I get this dream car? It's all about building that identity that gives you validation, right? It's all about forming the what you are, the role self, building up the role so people admire you, people validate you. Wow, you have so much money, you have such a nice car, you have an apartment, your girlfriend is so fit, right? It's all about the what. Whereas the who is what is the most challenging thing to build, and at the same time the most scary thing to do, because in the society the language that everyone speaks is what you are, right? Oh, I am a lawyer. Oh wow, you are probably superior than someone else, right? Oh yeah, this is my car, I'm driving a Ferrari. Wow, you are more wealthy, you're probably smarter, right? So it's like the metric that everyone understands. So that's why we tend to fall into the trap and build our role self, right? But it doesn't give us the fulfillment, it doesn't give us the meaning, it doesn't give us the love, the well-being, the connection, because it's just a facade, right? And the who you are is something that might not be like people normally don't get what that is, right? Like an example is when you shared with me so openly and vulnerably, and even with your audience, the whole Reiki story, right? It's really who you are. And some people who have a similar identity than you and in their true self completely resonate with you. But this is not the normal case, right? Other people are not open to it. They only speak this language, the what role, the role self language, right? And so they might think, oh, Kali is kind of, spiritual, whatever, right? So they kind of make fun of it. They don't understand it. They try to push you back to this role self life, right? And so that's why people have a hard time being vulnerable. People having a hard time opening up because they don't want to be labeled as inferior, crazy, stupid, unworthy, right? And that's why they were stuck with their role self. And that's the vision of connecting those two by exactly what you said, giving people a safe place, giving people the love, the harmony, to really give them a chance to say, hey, I see you and it's okay for you to be who you are. and I love you for who you are, right? And it's okay to express that in a very vulnerable, open way. And so just to come back to your question, really start by asking yourself, whatever your thoughts come up, your goals, your daily life, the things that you want, if that is coming from your role self or from your true self. And it's almost two identities that you have in one person. And it's up to you who you feed on a daily basis, right? And the more you feed your true self, the more the true self grows, right? And one day I hope that everyone is inspired to identify those two. Everyone is inspired to feed their true self in a very vulnerable, open way where they feel safe, that one day, even in early age and through generations, they're able to live their true self.
That's beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
And
you're welcome.
I want to add something too, just because my higher self kind of came online as you were talking about, you know, being open and being your true self, and having, say, you know, group A of people who are open and being their true self. And, you know, maybe some people see them as spiritual, maybe some people see them as other than spiritual, but they see these individuals in life, right? And they're like, oh, you know, that person's like really like, you know, they're talking like a lot of like open stuff, and like, I don't know how I feel about that. Which, you know, I have been there at like a certain point too. Like when I first heard about trance channeling, which is basically like someone sitting there and then another group of spirit comes through them and their voice changes and it's not them speaking anymore. It's a different, when I first heard about that, I was like, yeah, right. I was like, that's too much for me. But then like looking on the journey, it's like, dang, we did some expanding. But it's also like, you know, you're absolutely right. There's other groups of people too that say, oh, like this is where I am and this is kind of what I've been raised in and stuff, and that's okay too. And then even within that, there's like a whole spectrum of people with different belief systems and life experiences, right? I think it's about like the groups and saying like, hey, we see you over there sitting across from us or beside us, right? Not seeing you in the sense of like a hierarchical system, but seeing you in a sense of a circle system. We're all sitting beside each other, again, sharing the same home for a time being in our lives, right? And, you know, we understand too that like it can be hard. We understand too that it can be scary. We understand too, you know, because we've had similar experiences, or maybe you've had different experiences that you could share with us that we could learn from you about, and vice versa, right? Because in this circle, that's the power of it, is that we all have that gift of sharing. And it's like, hey, you know, if you're more than welcome over here if you want to be over here. We're inclusive people. That's the idea. But yeah, just wanted to add that in. And I think everything you said is very, very impactful, very, very pure. I like it. I'm inspired too. So like, I'm just, thank you. Thank you. Already such a good day.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's exactly what you said. I love these type of conversation because they're genuine, they're honest, they're vulnerable. They come from the heart, deepest soul. And, you know, it's just the energy that you brought up and the question that you asked. Thank you for that. And for everyone who's listening to this, please take that as a little encouragement to really build meaningful connection and think of life. And that's, you know, the whole purpose, what you have been pursuing, to live intentionally, right? And see the beauty of life. And I love how you shifted the perspective. And I just wanted to emphasize that as well, is we all share the same home, earth, right? And if you go in with that perspective, it diminishes the greed, right? It's diminished the sense of competition, because at the end of the day, everything is borrowed. We're just here on this planet that we share, and one day we're just gonna leave this world, and there's a coming generation that, you know, have a chance to experience what we are going to experience, right? And that is just a really refreshing perspective. So thank you for that.
Yeah, my joy. Oh my God, so good. I feel like I could talk hours with you.
Yeah, me too, 100%.
Yeah.
but I unfortunately do have to drop now.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I was thinking about, man, if I have a chance to travel to Canada again, I would love to meet you in person. I think we would be able to spend days without getting bored. And
Oh
so
my
I
God, the
just wanted to say,
adventures.
yeah. So thank you so much.
Yes. So, Luke, for anybody that does want to follow you on social media, like any social media platform, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm very, very active on Instagram right now. You can
Mhm.
find me on Luke W Shu. So it's Luke WXU, where I'm most active. And I'm trying to build up my TikTok channel. I'm trying to go on YouTube, because I realized like conversation like this, if people see you, if people experience you, you build a more genuine connection. And so please be patient with me because I work with so many people and I wanted to duplicate myself, but that's where people can find me, or shoot me an email at lukewshu@gmail.com.
Beautiful. Okay, so I will list everything in the description box below, guys. Again, if this resonated in any way, shape, or form, feel free to give the thumbs up, like button, share, subscribe with your loved ones, do all the things. Again, Luke, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I acknowledge you as you are, and just so much love and light.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.